You're still under oath, Mr. Pistorius? Thank you. Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Pistorius, if a firearm has a magazine in it, a pistol, every time you move the slide back and release it, it will load itself, if the magazine has got rounds in.
That's correct, my lady.
So, even if you did that 5 times in the restaurant, it would have loaded itself all 5 times.
That's correct, my lady.
Therefore, it's important to first check if the magazine is out.
That's correct, my lady.
And which we now know you didn't do.
That's correct, my lady.
Then, when I would have expected you to say, the gun went off by its own, on its own. What happened? Did you say that to Mr. Fresco?
I said to Mr. Fresco, I asked him what he was doing for handing me a firearm. I first checked that there were... Stick to what I said to Mr. Fresco. I said to asked Mr. Fresco what he was doing handing me a firearm that wasn't safe. And I said, take it back, and I gave it to him.
But my question, did you tell him this gun just went off?
No, I didn't at any point think about that. I was thinking about the safety of the people around me.
Did you tell Riva that the gun just went off?
I told Riva that the firearm went off in my possession. I don't remember if I told her that or not.
Because you send a WhatsApp.
That's correct, my lady.
And he prayed, Angel, please don't say a thing to anyone. That was important too.
That's correct.
That nobody should know. That's important.
That's correct, my
Why
lady.
is that important?
As I explained, my lady, I didn't want her to say anything to anyone because I understood that it could be taken out of... I didn't want to be in the media for having a firearm in my possession when it went off in a restaurant. I could understand how it would be turned and interpreted in certain ways. So I didn't want anybody to say anything about it. I didn't want to talk about it.
I didn't want to take responsibility for it. I didn't want it in the media. Please, don't tell anybody that I did it. That's what you didn't want. Am I right?
That's not what I said, my lady. I said, Angel, please don't say a thing to anyone. What I was saying there was, please don't say anything to anyone. If it gets out in the media, it will get turned, or it will get reported on in a way that wasn't what happened. It was a mistake on my behalf, and I didn't want it to get taken out of context.
Carry on. You just took it that the media would misinterpret the fact and print lies.
That's correct, my lady.
So you just thought the media would print lies.
That's correct.
What did you think they will do?
I didn't think about what they would do. I knew that if people found out about it, they would think that I was somebody who who fired a round in a restaurant, which was far from what had happened. And I know that I wouldn't have given a comment to an article like that. So I knew that it would get misinterpreted.
And you didn't even want the truth to be in the media.
I didn't want to be associated. I think it's a terrible thing that happened. Didn't want it to be anywhere in the media. I think my life, I'm not a musician or a actor. The more famous I am, the more money. It doesn't mean I make more money. My athletics is my job. That's why I'm in the media. But at times, my personal life comes into the media. And this is definitely something I wouldn't want in the media for any reason.
You didn't want the truth to be in the media. I want to hide the truth.
My lady, even the truth in the media, people would interpret. People read things and they interpret things. Even if the truth is printed, they interpret things differently. So I didn't want this to be anywhere near the media. That's why I said, please don't say a thing to anyone.
But then let's answer the question. You didn't even want the truth to be in the media.
That's correct. That's what I said, my lady.
Darren told everyone it was his fault. Was it his fault?
It was both of our faults, my lady. It was my fault for the firearm going off in my possession, and it was his fault for handing me a firearm which was not safe. What I was referring to here was this: Darren told everyone it was his fault. That's what I wrote there.
I can't afford for that to come out. The guys promised not to say a thing. That is important to you. Please let this not come out.
That is correct, my lady.
You see, that is a good example of you not taking responsibility for what you did. Don't you think one should take responsibility if you're negligent with a firearm?
My lady, I think I did take responsibility by asking Mr. Lupus if I may pay for the damage of his restaurant. Taking responsibility doesn't mean that I want the whole world to know what happened that day. That's not taking responsibility.
Taking responsibility is not to care if the truth comes out. That is taking responsibility. Not hiding the truth, that's not taking responsibility.
I don't think responsibility has anything to do with your life being interpreted to millions of people around the world, my lady. The truth is the truth.
You see, I'm putting it to you, you're lying. You fired that gun. There is no other way that bullet could have been discharged without you pulling the trigger. You are lying.
Yes, I respect Mr. Null's comment, my lady, but I didn't pull the trigger on that firearm.
How do you carry your pistol?
I carry my pistol in a holster, usually, my lady. I've got 2 holsters, depending on what clothing I wear.
And as far as the rounds are concerned?
I carry my firearm with a full magazine, my lady.
Not one.
I have a mechanism on my firearm, my lady, where you can put a round in the chamber and you can drop the hammer. So it's not cocked in the sense of when you the trigger on my gun it's got a double pull. So if you cock a gun, to pull the trigger is very easy. The weight of the trigger is fairly light. If you don't cock it, the first pull and the pulls thereafter are very heavy. It's very hard to pull the gun. So my firearm's got a double safety mechanism where you can cock the gun, you can drop the hammer, and then you can put the gun on safety. So I usually do carry one up.
After all that, you carry one up.
That's correct, my lady.
Okay. So, and Mr. Fresco, you and him went to the shooting range often?
We didn't go often. I went on several occasions. I know he shot as well, and on a couple of occasions we went together, my lady.
And so as a man carrying a gun one up, did you expect him also to carry his gun one up?
I wouldn't carry that firearm one up, my lady, because it doesn't have a safety mechanism apart from the trigger safety, which is just from my understanding, a small piece on the trigger.
Yes.
So I wouldn't think it'd be safe to carry that firearm one up.
You see, people would disagree with you, but we're not going there. At least now you admitted that the safety mechanism is on the trigger. You have to pull the trigger mechanism, then the trigger for that gun to fire. You know that.
That's what Mr. Nall put to me just before tea, my lady. That is what I understand.
Good. I've already indicated that you're not telling the truth. Unfortunately, Mr. Pistorius, I have to go back to the WhatsApps because I picked something up that I want to talk to you about. I want to ask you about. And that is the page 223 of 343.
My lady, I'm sorry, which exhibit is this?
ZZ.
beg your pardon, my lady. Would you, Mr. Null, please just refer to which page you'd like me?
Gladly. 223 of 343, so it's 223. You have it?
Yes, I do, my lady.
I don't want to rehash everything, but remember you said you were late, you had to go training, it was Saturday, you had to go to lunch and you had plans. Am I right?
I remember saying we were late for Mr. Fresco's engagement, my lady, that's correct.
But you had to leave because it was Saturday, you had to go training, you had to go to lunch, you had plans.
That's correct, my lady.
Okay. You'll be very surprised to hear that it was a Sunday.
I'm not surprised. I said, as I think I can remember, I thought it was a Saturday, my lady. But
Again,
I know that
so then we have to take that one away. Let's just erase that it was a Saturday. Let's erase that. And now think, what did you have to do on a Sunday? Because you said I had to go training. Let's erase that one and start again. You didn't go training
I did go training, my lady.
on a Sunday. You said it's a Saturday.
I said I thought it was a Saturday, but I remember on that day I had training, my lady, and I had to go get lunch.
Okay. So, was that the exception to the rule for Sunday?
No, I train every day of the week, my lady.
You said it was a Saturday.
I said
On a Saturday I train, and I'll go through the record because it's important.
that's
On
okay.
a Saturday I train.
My lady, I said on a Saturday I train. I also train on a Sunday. I train every day of the week. What I also said was that I think, if I could remember, it was a Saturday. That's what I said. I didn't say it was a Saturday. I said I think it was a Saturday. That's what the record will show. And if you tell me it was a Sunday, it doesn't change anything. I would have still trained. I had training on that day. That's why I had to leave.
And you still had the same plans. You had plans and you had to go to lunch.
Mr. Rooney was here from the UK to train with me. He's also an Olympic athlete. We had training. We were in the middle of a training camp. So we were training every day. And I still had to go eat. My diet is extremely important as a part of my running. And nothing changed. If it was a Saturday or a Sunday.
You see, I know that you'll brush it off, but it came from you. You said you remembered it. You said you thought it was a Saturday. You had to go train on a Saturday. I know you'll brush it off, but it's not that easy.
I thought it was a Saturday. If you tell me it's a Sunday, then I accept that it was a Sunday.
Let's go one step further. Now, you were late because of what? Because of picking up Gina.
That's correct, my lady.
Is that the only reason?
As far as I can remember, that was the reason why we were late. That was what was mentioned here in this message, my lady.
If there was a burst pipe that you had to discuss with a friend, would you now remember that?
No, my lady.
If I'm able to show you WhatsApps to say that there was a burst pipe, you guys are late, you and Riva were late, Gina should go get the present solo.
I don't remember that, my lady. I remember the reason for us being late was if there was a burst pipe, I would have taken that into account. But the reason for us being late than the time that we planned on being there wasn't because if there was a burst pipe, it was because, and this is where the message says, it was because we had to wait to pick up Gina. It wasn't because there was a burst pipe.
You see, so the song, was it played on your way to the function or on your way back from the function?
In the context that this is written, my lady, and I remember it being as we left. So
Yes.
Reva and I had an argument at the function. When we got in the car to leave, I asked Mr. Rooney to put on this album, and the song must have upset her. That's in the context. So I presume it was when we were leaving.
Now, I'm not going to rehash everything, I won't. There's just one other aspect. Now, have you snapped at Riva in the past?
We've had arguments in the past, my lady. I don't know. I guess I have got upset with her in the past and something that maybe she said, but I've never lost my temper or shouted at her, or if I've snapped, meaning in the context that she says here, where she says I get snapped at and told my accents and my voices are annoying. I think if there were other times that I'd snapped at her, she would have brought it up with me, but I don't remember. There could have been other times that I did snap at her.
And was she scared of the way you acted then?
No, my lady, Reva was never scared of me, my lady.
Well, that's not what the WhatsApp would say, but let's carry on with something else. The .38 ammunition in your safe. That is count. Count 4 of the indictment, my lady. You admit that the ammunition was found in your safe.
I do, my lady.
And that you control the safe.
There's 2 safes that were in my house, my lady. The one safe was downstairs. Only I had control to that safe, and the safe upstairs was a combination code which several people had access to, my lady.
Are you telling the court that you kept ammunition in a safe where several people had access to it?
That's correct, my lady.
Did you keep your own ammunition there as well?
No, my lady. I kept my ammunition I had an extra magazine in my bedside table, and I kept my cleaning kit for my firearm in the safe downstairs. At the time when I had the 38 ammunition, my father had asked if he can put it away for safekeeping, and it was placed in that safe.
Who placed it there?
My father did, my lady.
Were you there?
No, I was not there, my lady.
You know that your father refused to make a statement in this case?
I don't, my lady.
Have you seen a statement by your father acknowledging that it's his .38 ammunition?
I haven't, my lady.
Do you know that there was attempts to get a statement from your father to admit that it was his .38 ammunition?
I don't, my lady. My father and I haven't had communication between the two of us for many years.
Now, why would you allow him to put his .38 ammunition in your safe if you haven't spoken to him for many years?
So there hasn't been communication. I have spoken to him, but there hasn't been a relationship. He would sometimes come up to Pretoria or Johannesburg. My understanding was that if somebody is a licensed firearm holder, they can have rounds for their firearm that they have licensed, and that they can keep it in a place of safekeeping. It doesn't have to be their safe. So he asked me if he could keep the ammunition in my safe. I said that he's more than welcome to, and I let him do so.
Okay, so he asked you and you gave him permission.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, in your competency test, you dealt with possession of ammunition.
That's correct, my lady.
And you said there that either if you're in possession of a license or you're a dealer, but you never said that you could keep ammunition on behalf of someone.
I may have not said that there, my lady, but that's my understanding of the law.
No, but I mean, you wrote that competency. Did you check that understanding of the law with Mr. Roo?
I most definitely did, my lady.
And what did he say?
He confirmed my thoughts
No,
about
but he said that you're right. You could keep, in terms of the new Arms Act, are you telling me that Mr. Roo said, in terms of the new Arms and Ammunition Act, that you could keep ammunition without being in possession of a license of somebody else in your safe?
He didn't say that to me, my lady.
Okay, that's what I'm asking you. What did you answer then?
I answered that is not what he said, my lady.
Okay, what did he say?
I spoke to him about the ammunition, and he told me, I said to him, my understanding is that if I go to a hotel for the night, I can put my firearm in that safe and go down to the gym. That's my understanding. So he said that's correct according to the law. As long as your firearm and ammunition can be kept in a place for safekeeping. It doesn't say your safe, it says a safe. He told me it said a safe or a strong room. That was the interpretation that I got from him.
No, you see, I don't know. That wasn't the question I asked you. I asked you, are you telling me that Mr. Roo told you you were allowed to keep your father's ammunition in your safe if you're not the license holder of a 3.8? Did he say that?
He did not say that
Good.
to me.
Now, I asked you when we started, your understanding of the law, that you discuss it with your legal team. And you said yes. Who then, if it wasn't Mr. Roo, who did you discuss it with?
It was Mr. Roo. I discussed it with
Now,
him, my lady.
are you telling me that he said on that charge that you are allowed to keep that ammunition of your father in your safe? Please think it.
I don't follow the question, my
The
lady.
question is, did he tell you that you're allowed to keep your father's ammunition in your safe?
Yes, he told.
No,
I
can't
said to him that was my understanding, and he confirmed it, my lady.
No, it can't be. Mr. Roo would not do that. You see, we've now had, it's the third occasion that you blame your legal team, but you don't want to take responsibility. Mr. Roo would not have said to you that it's in order for you to keep your father's ammunition in your safe. He would not have done it. I put it to you.
My lady, we discussed it. It wasn't. My understanding is still that it's not illegal to do so. So I don't know.
No, forget your understanding, Mr. Pistorius. You're not answering the question. I'm asking you what Mr. Roo said to you. Not your understanding, please. Do you have that?
Yeah, I do, my lady.
Now, let's start again. Did Mr. Roo tell you that's in order for you to keep your father's ammunition in your safe? And you know, this question, unfortunately, had a yes or a no answer.
He didn't say those words, so no, ma'am. He did not say
He
them.
would have said no, because it's illegal.
He did not say that to me, my lady.
If I say it to you, what will you say?
I'd say that's not my understanding of the law, my lady.
You see, if it was somebody with one gun, I would say, let's test your understanding of the law. You are a gun enthusiast. You come from a family with lots of guns, am I right?
That's correct.
50 or more, I read somewhere.
That's. I don't know the number, my lady.
Now, if you're a gun enthusiast, then you would know the law. And we're lucky we have your competency. Did you discuss it with Mr. Rens?
No, I didn't discuss it with Mr. Rens, my lady.
I don't understand why you plead not guilty. I don't. You just don't want to take responsibility. Why are you pleading not guilty?
Because my understanding of the law is that you can place your ammunition in a safe for safekeeping. That doesn't have to be your safe. That's my understanding.
You see,
And when I shared my view with what my understanding was when we discussed this charge with Mr. Roo, that's what he confirmed with me, my lady. So that's.
let us just check that. So, do you know when your father put it there?
I don't remember, my lady. I'm in and out of the country on a very frequent basis. I don't remember when he put it there. I know that it had been there for some time because it was at the bottom of the safe. I had placed other things on top of it. It wasn't for my purpose. It wasn't for. I don't own a firearm that can discharge that type of ammunition.
You did that. You did when you were arrested. You bought the firearm that could fire that ammunition. You just didn't have a license for it.
At the time when I was arrested last year, yes, I did have there was a pending application for that type of firearm that could shoot that type of ammunition, but I didn't have a license or a firearm in my possession for that ammunition.
So let us start there. You were not allowed to legally have that ammunition in your possession.
It wasn't in my possession, my lady.
Listen to the question. The question is, you weren't allowed to have it in your possession, am I right?
My understanding is that I'm allowed to have. I don't think that's right, my lady. My understanding is that if somebody wants to place ammunition in a safe, in a place for safekeeping, they're entitled to do so.
You see, were you in possession of it?
It was in my house, but the safe possessed items that belonged to me and belonged to my father, and one or two items of jewelry that belonged to at different times to my sister. So there were things in my safe that even if it was in my possession, it wasn't for my use. It wasn't my understanding of the law was that if I understand the charge, but my understanding of the law is that if I have ammunition, I can place it in a safe for safekeeping. It doesn't have to be my safe.
You see, if you're confusing two issues. If you're in possession of ammunition, you can put it in a safe, where you're in charge of the safe. In a hotel, you're in charge of the safe, you put it in the safe, but you're in charge of the safe. You can put your ammunition there. That's what you understand? Am I right?
I think that's what I understand. Yes,
but now you're keeping, or you're possessing, because you said you possess. You're possessing your father's ammunition. You don't have a license. Firearms.
I said the ammunition was never for my purpose.
No, it was
kept in a safe where many people had access to the safe.
But let's take it further, because, I forgot something. And you just reminded me. You kept a magazine in your bedside drawer.
That's correct, my lady.
Is that your understanding of the law, that if you leave the house, you're allowed to have a magazine in the bedside drawer?
No, it's not, my lady.
Why did you do it?
For my safety, my lady.
Let us just then get to the facts. You kept an extra magazine in your bedside table at all times, whether you were there or not.
That's correct, my lady.
And you had safes in your house that you could put the ammunition in.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, at least you'll agree with me that that's illegal and that it is negligent.
My lady, I don't know if this is related to the charge that I'm being charged with.
Answer the question. Answer the question, please.
Would Mr. Nall please repeat his question, my lady?
You should listen to questions, Mr. Pistorius, but I will. You agree with me that it's illegal to keep ammunition in your bedside drawer if you're not at home?
My lady, when I was not at home, I'd put the ammunition in the safe. I was at home when I got arrested.
Oh, I see. You see, the record will speak for itself. Are you telling me that you took that ammunition and put it in the safe every night?
Yes, my lady.
And took it out?
I didn't say I put it in the safe every night. I said when I wasn't at home, it was in the safe.
Okay. Now, so I just want to understand this, because this, you see, Mr. Pistorius, I have to warn you, it has implications, so that you're not surprised. You tell me that if you're not at home, you'll take that magazine and put it in the safe.
At times, my lady, I kept that extra magazine in. At times, I carried that extra magazine with me. At times, I put it in my bedside table. If I went away, I'd lock it in my safe.
Okay. That we have. We have the following. And please help me. If it's not in my possession on my person, I would lock it in the safe if I'm not at home. Am I right?
If that's correct, my lady.
Okay. I would not leave it in my bedside table.
I'm sure there was a couple of occasions that I forgot to lock it away, my lady. There would have been, I can't say and I can't stand here and lie. There would have been occasions, but this isn't related to the charge of the 38 ammunition in the safe.
No, I'm dealing with your negligence as a firearm owner. That's what I'm dealing with. So, on the day of the incident, you had it in your possession the whole day?
I don't remember if I had a magazine in my possession. I think I've left it at home that day, my lady.
In the safe?
No, in the bedside table where it was found, my lady.
Why? You would not do that? You said to the court, I'll either have it in my possession.
That's not what I said to the court, my lady. I said at times I may have forgotten to put it in the safe.
So, unlucky for you, this was one of those occasions.
That's correct, my lady. Not unlucky. It was one of those occasions, and it was unfortunate. I understand that it's against the law. I kept it there. Sometimes I forgot.
But if I tell you it's against the law to keep your father's ammunition, you won't agree with that.
If you tell me that, then I understand that.
And then, if it's against the law, you plead guilty.
That's not what I said, my lady.
I'll ask you, if it's against the law, would you plead guilty? if you know that?
I'd have to sit with my counsel and discuss.
No, you won't have an opportunity again. I'm asking you. You said, if I tell you it's illegal, you would accept illegal. Now it's saying, if I tell you it's illegal to have your father's ammunition and you had, will you at least, in this occasion, tell the court that you're guilty?
My lady, I think that both Mr. Null and I know it's not that simple. Possession of ammunition, the law differs regards to being guilty and not guilty on the basis of why the ammunition was kept. So I can't say that I understand why he'd say that, but the ammunition wasn't for my purpose. It was in my safe. It wasn't placed there by me, so I understand what he's putting to me, but I cannot say that I changed my plea.
I see. You see, it's the second time today. First we have a miraculous discharge of a gun you wouldn't accept. Here, when I tell you it's illegal, you wouldn't accept. But at least we know that sometimes you're negligent as far as your other magazine is concerned.
That's correct, my lady.
Okay. So, when in a bail application, Mr. Roop put that the ammunition belonged to your father, did you try and make contact with your father to confirm that?
No, my lady.
Do you know if anybody else did?
No, my lady.
Why not? Why would you not know if anybody did?
My lady, until after my bail, I was in a prison cell, and for weeks afterwards I slept. I didn't see anyone. I stayed in my room. I didn't converse with anyone. I didn't socialize. I didn't speak, so I don't know what happened, or I wouldn't know if somebody did or didn't on that grounds or on any other grounds. I spoke very limited to the people around me. On the occasions that I had to speak to my lawyer, I'd speak to him. On the odd occasion, somebody would come and visit me, but I didn't have much communication. I actually didn't even have my phone. The state had my phones, my lady, so I didn't have numbers, and I didn't converse with many people.
Are you done?
Yeah, I am, my lady.
Okay. Now, has anybody, your brother, sister, uncle, anybody tell you that your father did not sign a statement to confirm that it was his ammunition?
No, my lady. The only understanding I had about the ammunition was that the police gave the ammunition to my brother and to Advocate Aldridge when they came to open the safe at the house. They told him that they could take the ammunition along with other items. They didn't take any register of the items when they left the house. Mr. Aldridge still asked one of the policemen at the door of my house, "Do you not want to take an inventory of stuff we're taking out?" He said no, he doesn't bother him. And they left, and later that day they were called to return the ammunition, which is what they did, in the same state as what they had taken it from the state. That's all I know about the interaction between the ammunition and whether Mr. Aldridge or my family or my uncles. That's all I know about that.
Lady, may I just be granted a minute to page through a file? Can you just look at JJ in front of you, my lady? I'm referring to exhibit JJ. Do you have that?
I do, my lady.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's paginated, but if you turn to a heading, Competency Level Exam, Knowledge of Firearms Control Act, Oscar Pistorius, 14. In the top right-hand corner, there's a 14. A10314. Do you have that?
I do, my lady.
Okay. Then if we just keep on paging to 17 in the top right-hand corner. Do you have that?
I do, my lady.
There's a question 17. No person may possess any ammunition unless he or she, and you say, has a dealer's license, has a license for a firearm of that caliber, has a permit for ammunition. You had none of those.
My lady, it asks you to list 3 here. I'm sure that there are many others, but it asks you to list 3.
What are the others?
I don't know what the others are. These are the ones. It was in my recollection, this was an open book test. So,
those 3. None of those 3 you had.
No, none of the 3 I had. But
and the most important one is the second one. Has a license for a firearm of that caliber. Do you agree with me as far as that's concerned?
that's correct. I didn't have a license for the firearm for that caliber, my lady. Nor did I have a purpose for that ammunition.
Now, we've dealt with that. Let us carry on with We'll carry on with the Vaal, the trip to the Vaal, and the discharging of firearm count 3. Now, you were going to a function at the Vaal with Mr. Fresco and Samantha Taylor, am I correct?
Amongst others, my lady, that's correct.
And what was the occasion?
I don't remember there being any specific occasion, my lady. We were going out going for a get-together with some friends.
And you left at what time about?
I have no idea, my lady.
And when you got to the Vaal, what was happening there?
I don't remember much about the day, my lady, but I remember we were met by, we drove down and we were met by other friends there. There was a group of about 10 people, about more or less 10 people. I don't remember if we ate something or if we just went out on the water. I remember we were on the water and we wakeboarded a bit, and then at a point in the afternoon we had to return.
Now, whilst you did all that on the water and so forth, where was your gun?
My firearm was on me, my lady.
Say again?
My firearm was on me, my lady.
You took the firearm on the water, onto the water?
I said we wakeboarded, my lady. I can't wakeboard.
But so when you took a boat onto, at least there was a boat on the water.
That's correct, my lady.
So at the function, on the boat, you took your gun with you.
That's correct, my lady.
Why?
Why did I take my firearm?
Yeah, why did you take your gun to a party?
It wasn't a party, it was a get-together, my lady, and my firearm was on me.
I'll rephrase and ask the question. Why would you take a firearm to a get-together?
I carried my firearm wherever I was, my lady. The only alternative choice would be to leave it in the car. At a point, when I was on the boat, I put it in my towel, and I didn't want to leave it at the house where there was nobody there, so I took it with me.
And you kept it on your person during the day, except for the brief. Now, when you put it in a towel, let me follow up on that. Was it on the boat? Or
yes, it was on the. It was on the boat. So I jumped into the water and I put my firearm in the towel, and I jumped into the water, and that was.
You don't think that's negligent? A loaded firearm, one up, on a towel in a boat whilst you were swimming.
I usually carried my firearm one up, my lady. I don't remember if it was one up that day, and I left my firearm on the towel. We were a close group of friends on the boat. It was in the middle of the water, and I got into the water.
I'm asking you just a question. Doesn't matter who was on the boat. Are you telling this court it wasn't negligent of you to leave your gun in the boat, in a towel, whilst you swam?
I didn't see it as being negligent,
Why?
my lady.
Why would you leave your gun unattended? Is that not negligent?
I didn't. There was no one there that I thought would. No one there that would handle my firearm or my firearm. I was next to the boat in the water. I didn't see it as being negligent, my lady.
You see, again, Mr. Pistorius, it's the strangest day today. You just don't take responsibility for anything. You just don't do anything wrong. You know, any gun owner would say it's wrong. Why can't you do that? Why can't you say it's wrong to do that? You're incapable of using those words as far as yourself are concerned.
I understand, my lady, and if it's seen as negligent, then I understand that, and then I was wrong, my lady.
Okay, good. So, in this instance, you would at least agree that it was negligent.
Yes, my lady.
Oh, I see. Good. Now, your friends. I take it that in taking a swim you had shorts on and or a costume or something like that.
I probably had shorts on, my lady.
Shorts, yeah. So, in carrying your gun, having shorts on, your gun must have been visible.
I've got a holster with a clip, so you can clip the holster on any pair of trousers or pants or shorts.
So you did.
I don't remember, my lady. I can't recall being on the boat with my firearm. I can't recall that day. All these small details we're talking about more than 2 years ago.
No. You see, I want to know. And I want you to remember. You at a, almost at party, at a get-together. And you're on a boat. Where's your gun?
I don't remember, my lady.
No, you must remember. It's in a holster. It's clipped to my shorts. Where else could it have been?
I don't know, my lady.
No. It's not, I don't know. That's not an answer. That's not an answer. You had shorts on. You had a shirt on. Am I right?
I don't know, my lady, if I had a shirt on.
Okay, let's test both. I had shorts on without a shirt. Where would your firearm have been?
I don't know if I had a shirt on without, or shorts on without a shirt, so I can't make up a story and say where my firearm would have been.
No, mister. Let's take both. If you did not have a shirt on, where would your firearm have been?
Would have been concealed in my holster on my person, my lady.
Where would your person be on your shorts?
I don't understand that question.
Where would you put it? Would you put it on you tip it onto your shorts? It's an easy question.
Yeah, that I understand, my lady. It would have been on my person. It would have been clipped
So
on my shorts.
everybody would see Mr. Oscar Pistorius is on a boat at a get-together, armed, gun on the side.
That's not
Why?
what I said, my lady. I said the holster I have, you can conceal your firearm. That's not what I said.
You can't conceal the firearm in shorts without a shirt so that nobody can see it.
But I'm not saying I was wearing a shirt, my lady. I don't remember.
No, you have to. I'm testing you. I wasn't there. I'm testing you. It's your version. You told the court, I took my gun to get together on a boat. I'm asking you, what did you do? You have to answer.
I had my firearm with me. From what I remember, I put it in a towel. When I got into the water, I was in the water for a couple of minutes. That's what I remember. I don't remember
before
if
you
I
were
had
in the
it.
water, where was the gun?
It was on my person, my lady.
Where?
It would have been in my holster, on my shorts.
Visible.
You
There's
can-
no ways people can miss your gun in a holster at your side.
My lady, I have a holster where it covers the firearm and you can put it in around the lip of your pants. It would have been, if I had a shirt on, it wouldn't have been visible. I'm not saying... I can't actually comment on this because I don't remember. I don't remember that on the water with my firearm. I remember at a time it was in a towel. That's all I can remember. I can't say if I had a shirt or didn't have a shirt, or if it was visible, if it was not visible.
Now, at least one thing you can remember is, at the get-together, Mr. Oscar Pistorius was armed at all times.
I'm usually armed. I keep my firearm on me, my lady.
The day in Tasha's, did you have your gun with you?
Yes, I did, my lady.
So the day in Tasha's, when the gun went off miraculously, you had your own gun with you.
That's correct, my lady.
I see. You carry your gun everywhere. You see.
That's correct. Most of the time, wherever
Why?
I go, my lady. For my safety, my lady.
Okay. Now, then you left the get-together.
That's correct, my lady.
You're sitting on the passenger side. Where's your gun?
It was on my hip in the holster, my lady.
And the Metro cops then stopped you.
They stopped us on 2 occasions, my lady.
On the occasion that you got out, what did you do with your gun?
I left it on the car seat, my lady, and I closed the door.
And that was the correct thing to do.
At the time, I didn't want to get out the vehicle and approach a group of policemen which were clearly agitated with a firearm on me. It wasn't the correct thing to do. I shouldn't have taken my firearm off my person, and I shouldn't have left it in the car, my lady.
You shouldn't have taken it off and you shouldn't have left it in the car. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, my
Okay,
lady.
good. Now, when the policeman found your firearm, how did you realize he had your gun? What happened?
As I said, my lady, he shouted out. He shouted as something to the effect of whose firearm this is. I turned around immediately and I walked to him and I said, it's mine. And I said, he asked me if I'm a licensed firearm holder, and I said, yes, my lady.
Now, let us just now, I know it's always easy to be wise after the event, but that policeman was in his rights just to confiscate that gun that was left there unattended. Because the owner left it on the car seat. Am I right?
If that's his right, I don't know what the rights are, my lady, then
What?
yes, he would be entitled to do so.
What do you think a policeman's duty is to do with a gun that's left unattended?
I think to investigate, to find out whose firearm it is, my lady.
And if he finds that the person left it there unattended, what should he do?
I don't know, my lady.
What do you think?
I'm not sure, my lady.
What do you think?
I inquire as to why it was left unattended, maybe, my lady.
And then
And
investigate it. He's within his rights to deal with your firearm.
That's correct, my lady.
But what happened then?
He
Yeah.
ejected the round from the chamber. He dropped the magazine just let the magazine fall from the firearm, and he threw the firearm onto the front seat of the
Which
vehicle.
means the firearm was one up.
That's correct, my lady.
So you carried that gun on the boat and at the function a one up.
I think that would be correct
Yeah.
in saying so, my lady.
Or did you change it en route from?
I think that would be correct, what Mr. Niles put to me, my lady. I don't remember, so if that's what the policeman did, then that makes sense, that it would have been one up. I don't think I would have changed the position of the firearm on that day, so it must
What
have
can't?
been...
You say I can't remember. What can't you remember?
I can't remember if the firearm was one up on the boat. If you're telling me later in the day that if I say to you that the police officer ejected a round from the chamber, then it must have been one up. I'm not disputing that fact.
I'm not saying that. You saying that.
Okay.
I haven't said that the policeman did it. You said it. Am I right?
Lady Mr. Null, I think put to me that if I'm mistaken, that my firearm was one up, so it must have been one up when I was at the water.
You said he dropped the magazine. The policeman. Did he?
Earlier on I did say that, my lady.
And he then pulled the slide back and a round fell out.
That's correct.
That's your version.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, the only inference one can draw is that it was one night.
That's correct.
Otherwise, that would not have happened.
That's what I said, my lady.
And the only inference, if you haven't changed it from the vault to there, you had it one up on the boat.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, for the policeman to be able to do that in the way you carried your gun, he would have had to disengage the safety,
That's correct, my lady.
because you had it on safety in terms of what you're telling the court.
That's correct, my lady.
So when that happened, what did you do?
He was busy handling my firearm. I said to him, I asked him, would he please pass it to me? At which point he threw it on the chair. He made a comment about asking, he said to me something to the effect of, do you know what I can do with this firearm? At that point I ignored him and I started putting the magazine back in the firearm. I started trying to look for the round that I'd seen fallen under the chair. At this point he'd already started walking away and he'd lit a cigarette. I couldn't find the round. At this point another police officer came over who was talking to Mr. Fresco, and he started helping us look for the round, and he called his fellow officer back to come and help look for the round.
There was, I don't have your words, but you said at least there was some unpleasantry between you and that first policeman.
That's correct, my lady. I
What?
said that I was agitated, I believe.
Agitated. And why?
Well, I was agitated that he dropped the magazine just on the chair, that he threw the gun down, that a bullet had gone under the seat. I think if he dealt with the situation in a more professional manner, I would have been far more understanding, but I had to now climb down on the side of the highway and look for a round that had fallen under the seat. And
You shouldn't do that.
with the comment that he made to me about him knowing what he could do with this firearm, it was clear to me that he was aggressive.
Why? Because he could confiscate it, he could investigate it. What did you think he said?
He said something to the effect of, do you know what I can do with this firearm?
What did you think he's saying?
Well, he was saying it to me in a violent manner, so I don't...
You thought he wanted to shoot you.
That's not what I'm saying.
What then? What do you think? It's one of two things. He said, you know what I can do with the gun. What did you think he said?
I don't know, my lady.
No.
I didn't take an interpretation. All I knew is what he said. I can't challenge a policeman.
He
I
said
would've
it in a
never-
violent... Sorry.
Mr. Null's right. He did say it in a violent manner.
So what did you think, him saying it in a violent manner? What did you think he was saying?
I didn't interpret it. It made me agitated, and I ignored him, and I started looking for the round under the seat.
Why were you agitated if he said, do you know what I can do with this gun?
It wasn't
He's a
the
policeman.
It was the fact that he disassembled the gun in the car, and he dropped the magazine. It could have damaged the vehicle. That's the situation made me agitated. I didn't think that it was dealt with in a correct manner. If he had confiscated my firearm, I would have understood that if he'd done it in a professional manner, in a courteous way, if he'd investigated it, if he'd asked me to see my license, I would have understood, I would have complied. But he didn't do that, my lady.
And that's why you were upset.
Yes, that is why I was upset.
I want to get to something else. I'm just going to run through this quickly. We'll get back. So you then left that particular spot. They've now dealt with Mr. Fresco, and I take it you were still agitated with the policeman.
I sat in the car before we left. After the police officer got his radio to put the bullet back, to get the bullet out, I put it back in the magazine, and I put the magazine back in the firearm, and I placed the firearm back on myself. I sat in the car and waited for them to finish with Mr. Fresco. They spoke to him for several minutes, and by the time we left, we left.
Now, do you know Mr. Bear?
I do know Mr. Bear, my lady.
He's the man that assisted you with becoming a collector.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, did you not go to his place that day?
I don't know, my lady. I don't remember going to his house on that day.
If he has a photograph of you on that day with his daughter, did you take photographs with his daughter?
I don't know Mr. Bear well, but on one of the occasions that I've met with him, I took a photo with his daughter and with his wife, my lady. I think it was his wife, my lady. And if there was a photo, then
it's possible that you were there.
Yes, my lady.
Okay. So at least we know that it's possible that you were there. And if we can get such a photograph, that would help refresh your memory.
Yes, my lady. In my chief, I said I remember going there in October. I didn't remember anything about September or that day. The things that stood out for me on that day were getting pulled over by the police on the 2 occasions.
Okay. Then you can't remember having gone to Mr. Bear. Has Samantha ever been to his house?
I'm not sure, my lady. I'm not sure I've even been to his house, my lady.
You're not sure that you've been to his house where you took photographs with his daughter and his wife?
I met him in a residential place where the address was given to me. I'm not sure if that was his home, my lady. I don't know if I don't think Sam would have known who he was or had any interaction with him. I don't think she would have met him before.
Now, was there any other occasion that you, Samantha Taylor and Darren Fresco went to a residential place in the area of Modderfontein?
No, my lady, I don't think so.
So at no occasion were you together at Mr. Bear's?
No, my lady, I don't remember being at Mr. Bear with anyone. And if I remember Miss Taylor's evidence, she said that we went to a place near the Vaal River. I don't remember even now where the place was where I met Mr. Bear.
So you're willing to criticize her for not knowing, but you don't know?
I'm just saying that the question was put to me if Sam Taylor had known Mr. Bear and if it was possible that we'd all been to his house. I don't know if I've ever been to his house.
Do you know where the residential place is where you met Mr. Bear?
I don't recall where it is, my lady.
But there was an occasion when you met Mr. Bear at the residential place, am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
But you cannot tell the court where it is.
That's true, my lady. I don't remember.
You've got no idea.
No, my lady, I don't know the area. I would have put it in my sat-nav, in my navigation, and I would have just driven there. I don't remember.
So if Sam was there, we cannot criticize her for not remembering because she wasn't even driving.
Who's Sam?
Samantha Taylor. I apologize, my lady.
It's Taylor, yes.
I apologize. Samantha Taylor. Can we criticize her for not knowing?
I don't believe Miss Taylor was ever with me, my lady.
No, that's not the question.
No, you can't criticize her.
Exactly. But we did.
You'd have to just look at the context. If she comes up here and says that she went on to a place in the Vaal River, you'd have to criticize it in the sense that I don't believe she was there. So whether she knew where it was or she didn't know where it was is of no relevance if she wasn't there.
Yep, but that's not the question. The question is, let's say she was at Mr. Bear's place once with you. You cannot criticize her for not knowing where it was. That's all I'm asking you.
If that was the case, no, I couldn't.
Yeah. Now, how would she know that you met on whichever date, met Mr. Bear at the residential place or met somebody at the residential place about guns?
I have no idea, my lady.
Yeah. Because she said you met somebody to sign gun papers. That's what she thought.
I know Miss Taylor was with me on another occasion when I signed papers pertaining to a firearm when I was with Mr. Rents, and I know she was with me there. I discussed things. We were in a relationship, and I told her where I was on many occasions. So I don't know I don't know, my lady.
No, you do, because you're giving me opportunity to ask. So are you saying that she's making it up?
Yes, my lady.
She's lying.
She lied in her statements, and she lied when she was up here, my lady.
About being with you at somebody's house that day?
My lady, all I'm saying is I can't remember anybody being with me. I remember meeting Mr. Bear to sign papers in a residential area. I can't recall in which residential area it was. I think it was in October. This was 2 years, a year and a half ago.
You see, that's significant. So, if there's an indication that you were at Mr. Bear's on the 30th, you cannot deny that. On the 30th of September. You cannot deny it because you can't remember.
That's correct, my lady.
Yeah. Now, if she says she went with you on that day to a residential place to sign gun papers, she is just making it up.
I don't know if she made that up, my lady, but I don't remember Miss Taylor accompanying me to meet with Mr. Bear.
No.
If that's what she says, then I cannot say she is lying on that fact. What I can say is that I don't remember anyone accompanying me to see Mr. Bear.
Then, but she's not the only one making it up. It must also be Mr. Fresco making it up.
I didn't say she made it up, my lady. I said I don't remember that.
Okay, good. So, the two of them can. Mr. Fresco and Sam Taylor can remember at least going to a residential place with you to sign gun papers.
My lady, if you look at the evidence of Miss Taylor and Mr. Fresco, that's what they both say. But they don't agree upon the charge. They don't agree upon how it happened, where it happened, or why it happened. So if they say that they were there with me on a day when this happened, I cannot definitely say that they weren't with me. I can't say that I was there in September. If there's evidence that shows that, then I can say that if that's what it was, then I was there. But I don't remember. It's not an event that I remember. I don't remember signing the papers. I don't remember whose house it was. I remember that I had to meet Mr. Bear. That's all I can remember.
But you see, I've now left you because I would like to use it in an argument. You're arguing the case as if you, as we counsel. I can't remember. Have you seen their statements? You mustn't argue, Mr.
I have seen Miss Taylor's statement, my lady, and I have seen Mr. Fresco's statement.
And you've heard them testify.
That's correct, my lady.
They both said they went with you on that day to a residential place where you signed gun papers.
That's correct, my lady.
You don't know. You can't remember. So if two of them can, they must be correct.
I don't remember, my lady. So
No,
if that's what
not
they
the
said, that's
question.
what they said. I can't remember that.
Now let's argue. If there are three people, two know they were there and one doesn't, we'll pick the two, isn't it? For a version.
I don't want to argue with Mr. Now, my lady.
I'm so glad to remember that answer. I'll use it in future. But I'm putting it to you, Mr. You are not willing to concede anything. Oscar Pistorius will not take responsibility or concede anything. That's what you're doing to your own evidence.
Is that a question, my lady?
Yes, it's a question. Are you?
No, my lady. I have conceded on several occasions. I cannot agree with the statement that's put to me if I don't have a recollection of that event.
Then both of them indicate that you fired through the sunroof. That is definitely a lie.
That is a lie, my lady.
Both of them independently will tell that lie.
They both took the stand. They both had different stories as to why it happened, as to where it happened, as to how it happened, as to the reaction. That story was fabricated, my lady. It's never happened. It was not the truth.
But it's a bad fabrication. Because they never spoke to each other, it seems, because they've got different reasons why it happened, where it happened. It was a terrible fabrication between the two of them.
My lady, they've been in contact. Although they said they haven't spoken to each other, they have been in contact with each other. They've been seen out at the same events. So I don't know what the connection would be between Miss Taylor and Mr. Fresco. They met between me, and for all I know, they've kept communication open before them.
Now, again, we have to blame your legal team. When they said they haven't had communication, Mr. Roo let slip. He never challenged them on that.
Lady, I don't remember if Mr. Roo challenged
He
it
didn't.
or not. Okay.
He didn't. Take it from me. He will jump up if I say something wrong.
I'm just saying what I've heard, my lady. Maybe I didn't say that to Mr. Roo, but
Why?
what I've heard is that they have had communication with each other. So that's
see,
all I can.
You're the person that volunteered the fact that they said they didn't have communication, but they have. But let me rephrase. You're the one that said, in evidence, they said they didn't have communication. Am I right? You said that.
That is correct, my lady.
But you know that they had communication.
I beg your pardon.
But you know that they had communication.
I'm not saying I knew. I said I heard that they have communication.
But you don't know. Oh, you heard from people.
That's correct, my lady.
And it wasn't even put to them that Mr. Pistorius heard that you had communication. That wasn't that important.
I heard post them giving evidence that they had had communication, my lady.
Okay. Who told you?
I don't recall, my lady.
No. I apologize, my lady, for laughing. I won't do it again. But I was surprised by the answer. I apologize. I really do.
I hope it doesn't happen again.
Sorry, my lady?
I hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, no, it won't. I apologize. No,
And I also want to say something to people out there. You possibly think this is entertainment. It is not. So please restrain yourselves.
Is that the gallery, my lady?
The gallery.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
So you tell me that somebody, since they gave evidence, gave you this information, and you cannot tell the court who that person was?
I don't recall, my lady. I speak to many people in the afternoon after.
No, that's
Beg your pardon.
because it's not true, Mr. Pistorius. That's the only reason why you can't remember. Because it's not true. You would remember who gave you that information.
Sorry, my lady, was that a question?
Yes, that's because it's untrue.
That's incorrect, my lady.
If somebody would say, I had my gun in that car between my legs, that person would be lying. If somebody would say, Mr. Pistorius had his gun in the car between his legs, that person would be lying.
That's correct, my lady. Mr. Fresco did testify to that, and that was not the truth, my lady.
And nobody challenged.
I can't remember if anybody challenged it or not, my lady. I didn't discuss, when I discussed this charge with my counsel, I didn't discuss things that didn't happen. So I couldn't have said to them that I can foresee what Mr. Fresco is going to say on the stand. And tell them he might say that I had my gun between my legs when that didn't happen. So if they didn't challenge it, my faith is in them, my lady. I can't say why they did or didn't challenge it, my lady. But it.
Now, whilst we're busy with this, I see we've got 15 minutes before lunch, and I want to deal with something. And please, I don't want to get you confused, so I'm going to do the scene of the early morning of the 14th of February. In the bathroom, you're firing shots. How many shots did you fire?
I fired 4 shots, my lady.
In what sequence? How did you? Was it 2 double taps or?
No, just in quick succession, my lady.
In quick succession. You know that for a fact.
That's correct, my lady.
Because you can remember it.
That's correct, my lady.
It's not a reconstruction.
No, my lady.
And it was definitely not 2 double taps.
That's correct, my lady.
Why would Mr. Roux think and put to Captain Mangena, that you fired 2 double taps?
I'm not sure, my lady, but that is what he put to Mr. Mangena, and in the first break I corrected him and I said to him that it wasn't a double tap.
But before we go to you correcting him, why would he say that?
I'm not sure, my lady.
No, it's impossible. Mr. Roux will not say something. Forget the correction. Mr. Roux will not put something to a witness that's not your version. Why would he say 2 double taps?
My lady, the only explanation I could think of is that when we spoke about training, in firearm training, you learn to fire 2 shots, which isn't a double tap. It's called a double tap. And I think that maybe Mr. Roux put that to Mr. Mangena. I can't say why he did, but I corrected him immediately at the break. That's all.
You see, he went further. He said to Mr. Mangena that it's your version that you fired 2 double taps. It wasn't that, is it possible? He put it as a version.
I understand that, my
But
lady.
Mr. Nell, he has answered. He can't say. All he knows is that he corrected Mr. Roo.
May I ask a follow-up question? The only reason why I would do that is if you told him. He wouldn't do it any other way.
That's incorrect, my lady. I didn't say that. I didn't tell Mr. Roo that I fired a double tap at any point.
Now, but you know that it was in quick succession.
Yes, it was.
How do you know that?
Because that's what I remember, my lady.
How do you remember that?
I don't really understand how I'm meant to explain how I remember something. I don't remember. I didn't count the shots. I fired. I was terrified. I fired my firearm, and then I stopped. Later on, I found out that it was 4 shots.
Remember, I asked you if you can remember. So you don't know how many, but you can remember quick succession.
That's correct, my lady.
How can you remember quick succession?
I don't understand that question, my lady.
So you remember pulling the trigger in quick succession?
Yes, that's correct, my lady.
Because in your evidence, it's a bit different. You said, and I'm just trying to get that. Malady, I'm just trying to get the specific point. You know what your evidence was? At page 1475. Before I knew it, I had fired 4 shots at the door. My ears were ringing.
That's correct, my lady.
So, is that a reconstruction?
It's taking the facts into account. There were 4 shots fired. I don't, as I said, remember firing specifically 4 shots. I remember them being fired in quick succession. What I said there was I fired 4 shots. I did fire them. When describing the manner, I fired them in quick succession. Do I remember firing 4 shots? No, I don't.
At the door?
Correct, at the door, my lady.
Do you remember firing at the door?
Yes, I remember firing at
Why
the door.
did you, yesterday when we ended, you said you don't. You can't remember.
That's incorrect, my lady.
You
Yesterday, that is incorrect, my lady. Yesterday, when put to me, if I fired at the door, if I remember firing at the door, I said yes, I do. I remember firing at the door. I wasn't, at the time that I fired, the pistol was pointed at the door.
No.
When I heard the noise, I fired the pistol. I remember firing at the door. I've never said that I don't remember firing at the door.
Okay, let me just get it, and we've luckily have the record, and I'll go through it during lunch. Where you're sitting now, and it's your evidence. I remember firing 4 shots at the door.
That's correct, my lady.
Because you remember aiming at the door.
I remember pulling the trigger and the rounds going into the door, my lady.
Okay, unfortunately I have to test you on it. I remember pulling the trigger and rounds going into the door.
That's correct, my lady.
How do you remember the rounds going into the door?
I don't understand
But
that question. my
did
lady.
you hear them go into the door? Did you see them going through the door?
That's where the firearm was pointed, my lady. That's my remembrance, is that I saw them go into the door. That's where I fired.
So, now we can go back to where we stopped yesterday. You fired, did you fire deliberately?
No, my lady, I did not fire deliberately.
You stole it accidentally.
I'm still with the fact that I fired the gun out of fear. That at the time I interpreted it as somebody coming out of the bathroom, my lady. I'm not trying to argue. I'm saying that I didn't mean to pull the trigger. So then in that sense it was an accident,
Okay.
my lady.
I just want us not to again get this confused. I never meant to pull the trigger.
That's correct, my lady.
So, you never wanted to shoot at intruders coming out of the bathroom.
I didn't have time to think about it, my lady. Whether I did or didn't want to, I wouldn't have wanted to take or shoot at someone.
No, answer the question. You never deliberately pulled the trigger. So, you never wanted to shoot at robbers, intruders, coming out of the toilet.
That's correct, my lady.
So whatever happened in that bathroom, noises, what happened the whole day, that whole night, never caused you to pull the trigger. It went off accidentally.
That's the opposite of what I'm saying, my lady.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
What I said was that the noise coming from the bathroom made me pull the trigger from the toilet. So that's not what Mr. Nell's putting to me, my lady.
But you can't remember pulling the trigger, can you?
I can remember pulling the trigger, my lady.
But you didn't aim at anything.
The firearm was aimed at the door at that time, my lady.
Did you want to shoot the people coming out of the door or not?
I didn't have time to think about if I wanted to or didn't want to, my lady. I heard a noise coming from inside the toilet and I discharged the firearm.
Now, so, you never wanted to shoot the intruders coming out of the door.
That's correct, my lady.
But we know there weren't intruders in there.
That's correct, my lady.
We know that Riva was in there.
That's correct, my
So
lady.
there was no reason for you to shoot. Objectively seen, after the fact, as we stand here today, you had no reason to shoot.
That's correct, my lady.
If you waited a second to see if the door would open, you would not have fired.
It's a possibility, my lady.
No, it's not possible. She was in there, we know it now. She was in there. If you waited, you would not have fired. Am I right?
I'm not sure about a second, my lady, if Riva had come out or if she'd spoken to me, or then I wouldn't have fired.
But let us go. We know for a fact that there were no intruders in your house that night.
That's correct, my lady.
We know for a fact there was no ladder against the wall.
That's correct, my
We
lady.
know for a fact it was Riva in there,
That's correct.
in the
my
toilet.
lady.
We know for a fact that she wasn't a threat.
That's correct, my lady.
We know for a fact you had no reason to shoot.
That's correct.
Objectively seen.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, it's not your version that you aimed at the door because you thought the robbers were coming out and you have to protect yourself.
That is my version, my lady. That's
That-
what I said in my chief, was that I thought the robbers were either in the toilets, the intruders were in the toilets, or that they were on the ladder. My firearm, I said, was pointed at the toilet. My eyes were going between the window and the toilet door.
But why did you fire?
Because I heard a noise coming from inside the toilet that I interpreted at that split moment as somebody coming out to attack me, my lady.
Luckily, this is all on record. So, and when you heard that, you just started shooting, or accidentally your fingers pulled the trigger
I started shooting at that point, my lady.
at the intruders.
At the door, my lady.
But in your mind, at the intruders.
It's what I perceived as the intruder coming
Yes.
out to attack me, my lady.
So it wasn't accidentally.
My lady, I'm getting confused with this accidentally and not accidentally. When I try to explain myself, I'm told to say it's either an accident or not. I've said time and time again what I perceived and what I thought. I don't understand. If it's not put to me, it was put to me yesterday that it was by accident, and now it's put to me it wasn't by accident. I don't understand, my lady. I'm saying that I didn't intend to shoot. My firearm was pointed at the door because that's where I believed that somebody was. When I heard a noise, I didn't have time to think, and I fired my weapon. It was an accident.
My lady, would this be an opportune moment? It's, I think, 5-1. If we take the adjournment, the tea adjournment, lunch adjournment now, my lady.
We'll be back at 2 o'clock.
Please.
Court will adjourn.